Hey guys, it's Jonny Dyas here with AudioPluginDeals.com. Today, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about Resonance Emotional Mallets. And these are some of the best samples I've ever heard. I have to give you a warning though, this is going to be quite an emotional video. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, feel free to pause it. But before I get in any further, I'm going to have to tell you, we're having a deal right now. It's free and it's unlimited time offer. Gotta hit the subscribe, and you'll have access to all of our new updates and future content that you'll definitely want to see. So with that said, let's dive straight in. Resonance Emotional Mallets has been divided into two ingenious categories. We have designed and natural. Natural are the raw original instruments. Designed are a new take on their natural instruments, where they've taken them to a new place, often morphed them into like a keyboard sound or a lead sound or a bass sound. Both really cool. If you're like me, when you think about mallets, you think, I've already got a couple of marimbas, I've already got some glockenspiels, I don't need any more. But although you may already have those, this library is really unique. I've never heard of some of these instruments before. For example, the Aquarion. It's a marimba type instrument, but it has glass keys. Really good. Another one that really amazed me was the Wrenchophone. This is something I wouldn't imagine even existing. They have tuned metal wrenches to make like a glockenspiel Celeste style instrument. I couldn't believe how great this sounded. But if you're like me, you'll have to hear them to really believe it. So like I said, these are very emotional sounds, so if you have any fear of feeling too much emotion, feel free to pause this, but check out the Aquarion. Pretty emotional sounds, pretty good. Definitely a very light but marimba style tone, and it has a lot of nice bass to it as well. That's definitely something I'll be using in my own tracks. The next one I want to show you is one of the design patches. It's an Aquarion, but it's made to sound like a Rhodes. Once again, this is going to be quite emotional, so get ready. Just gotta say, that was pretty emotional as well. That's definitely a very nice sound though. Something you could use for an alternative to an electric piano, or maybe a substitute. Definitely something you could use in a jazz track. I really like that one. Next up, I want to show you the Wrenchophone. That was very emotional. That was, for me, that sounds a lot like a Celeste or a glockenspiel, but not quite. It's a little bit more unique, but definitely that was pretty emotional. This next one is kitchen pot lids that they've somehow made a sample library from to sound like Tibetan singing bowls. This is a really good one. Check out this. Pretty emotional. You can see why they're called the emotional mallets. All right, guys, if you're like me, you know that things can sound great individually, but can they play together well as a team? So what I've done is I've made a track, and I've tried to use exclusively only the emotional mallets. All right, so let me show you the track. So I started it off with the Aquarion, and I've got it doing a 16th note pattern with a bit of velocity changes to keep it interesting. And one of the things about this sample library is that it really responds well to changes in velocity. So check this out. So for me that sounds like kind of like a Steve Reich sounding pattern, and beneath it I've added in the pipe harp. It's doing a similar pattern. So you can already see from that they really play well together. On top of this I've put the gamelan playing like a melody line. I really like the gamelan in this library, and I think you will as well, because it's not a typical gamelan. What they've done is sampled a bunch of different instruments and put them together to make them sound gamelan-esque. But it's actually easier to play than any other gamelan I've ever seen. Really cool. With that said, I'm just going to show you the whole track. One thing I will say before I do though is I've included the pipe harp bowed as a transition sound, which I think is really cool, and that's something I'm going to be using in other tracks. And at the end of the track, I've included some of the pad sounds from the design category. Once again, this is very emotional, so be ready. Here we go. Definitely Emotional Mallets. Just to say again, that track was almost exclusively only the Emotional Mallets. I've added a cello and a sub, but other than that, everything you heard was from that library. Pretty cool. But if you're like me, sometimes you don't want to feel too much emotion. It can be quite hard. So I've tried to make a track of a different flavor with this. I've been playing around with the gamelan because I liked it so much, and realized it sounds a little bit like a trap bell if you play it a certain way. So I had no choice but to make a trap beat, and I think you'll see that the gamelan definitely can make a solid trap beat. Check this out. Definitely a very emotional track, but the gamelan definitely is holding its own as a trap bell. I gotta say, this is a very versatile library. I'm so glad I've discovered it, and I think if you guys can get it, you definitely should. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I hope you didn't feel too much emotion, because I had a great time. See you guys next time.